And welcome into another Tuesday night's evening blend number 99, Matthew.
Woohoo!
I am Pop Blender. With me is Matthew Matson, as always, Memu Nestor's action figure blog on Instagram. And let's go full screen as we always do. I got to tell you, okay, I'm not going to lie. I don't know who these are, but the first thing that came to mind was Sauron, which I know isn't correct.
Yeah.
And then Dungeons and Dragons, which
Okay.
is also not correct. Third would be maybe Conan.
This is the anti-Conan.
Okay. All right.
So this is the basis for Daemon Targaryen. This is the basis for The Witcher. This is Elric of Melniboné.
Okay.
It was created by an author named Michael Moorcock in the 1960s. When he was given a task, he said, "Hey, we need some Conan stories." And he says, "I'm going to give you the opposite of that." And if you read any of his writings, he is the biggest troll there ever was. He trolled Tolkien, he trolled Howard, he trolled everybody, and thought that they were all shit because they didn't follow their own ethos, and that he did. He is the first person to coin the term multiverse. And this is a king who uses this potion here to sustain his life until he gets this sword, which is the daughter of Chaos, Arioch, one of his daughters. He had two daughters, and they're twins. One is a little more purple, one is a little more black. But this is Stormbringer, and when Stormbringer kills somebody, it sucks their soul out, powers the sword, and then fuels Elric with energy. He is an anti-hero, but he abandons his people to wander the world and try and figure a way to save the world. This is the Horn of Fate, and he's got his king's ring. So he's got a couple hands with the ring on it. He comes with this is his other head that he comes with. Won't focus, but he also comes with another version of Stormbringer.
Keep going, baby. Keep going. There
Which
we go.
this is more based off of the graphic novel adaptation of it. And he's got showed the horn. Plus, Savage Crucible does awesome stuff and sends a bunch of other goodies there. This is the Shield of Chaos.
Beautiful.
And this is probably going to be figure of the year. I do have one more thing.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
So when these guys are in the gym and they're training and they got to get their clothes washed, they just throw it to the low man on the totem pole, and the low man on the totem pole washes them. And then he ends up with a pinky.
Holy moly.
and he wants to fight everybody and thinks that he's the best. And he goes and actually defeats the champion of all Street Fighter, Sagat, because Sagat is going through an existential crisis and decides to let Dan win because he's just done with it for a little while. So Dan thinks that he's the best in the world and promotes himself as such and is the biggest joke in all of Street Fighter. But he's so awesome.
Giraffe hits it right on the money, baby. That's awesome, dude. Holy cow. Yeah, and 3-star nailed it. Yeah, Elric, right off the bat, man. Those that are in the know, you guys absolutely destroy me when it, there's just no way. I can't compete. I can't even pretend to. If it's not G.I. Joe and sometimes Transformers, man, I'm like an Alzheimer's patient.
So
It's like,
the photo that I posted today is a photo from Marvel Comics when they got the rights to Moorcock's Elric, and had Elric versus Conan, or basically Elric enters Conan's world. And
Okay.
so I took the cover of that comic and then recreated it with my Hero Select Conan and my Xerxes Studio Hildar and Elric.
Are you speaking of this right here,
That's the
sir?
one.
Yeah. Um, Love it. And I don't know. Hey, maybe you guys can educate me. On Instagram, we have our comments here. That's great. That's fine. I want to blow this picture up. I want this picture to take up the whole screen. How do you do that?
You don't.
Oh, you don't. You don't
Yeah.
do that. Instagram. Hey, here's a little tip. Make it so I can blow this shit up. In Minecraft. No, blow the
Well,
photo up.
they actually compress their files so much that it takes away some of the details
I get it.
sometimes.
Yeah, I get
And
it.
it's just to do their servers. But
There we
the
go.
yeah, that's
That's
the
inspiration.
yep. But
Yeah.
so the random little goodies that you get, you never know. I happened to get an Excalibur,
Well, hang on. Let's go back. Let's go back. And let's go back.
and so
Beautiful.
it's so if you know the writing on it, um, take me up and throw me away are what's written in glyphs on there. So that tells you that it is Excalibur, because that was from the Arthurian legend stories.
I thought I thought that it said never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down,
Yeah, that
never
too.
gonna turn around and desert you. I thought
Yep.
that's what it said.
And I haven't been able to find my black light, but I got this little guy here too, and I'm pretty sure that it's a
Oh, sweet.
like a dragon's claw
Yeah.
with a gem in it. I'm pretty sure this is going to be photo reactive with the light. So I mean, they're just doing some awesome stuff.
So
So
Three Star has not a question, more of a statement about wanting to get Elric, and you know what would go with him is Brynjar.
yes, he absolutely would, and I will get that figure at some point.
Yeah, this is me, Giraffe. This is me. Are these real words that you're saying, Three Star? I don't know. Are you making up your own language? Nick knock, paddywhack. Give a dog a bone. I don't know.
Well, he did forget the apostrophe, so there's
Oh shit. Oh look, we're not gonna get that particular.
no, no, no,
Okay.
no.
Uh,
And I will say that anybody who wants to get Elric, um, good luck to you, because there weren't a whole lot made,
Sucker.
and all the pre-orders are fulfilled for those who paid for it a long time ago. There will be an in-stock sale, probably sometime in June, once the retailers get there. Once all the pre-orders are delivered, the retailers get theirs. Then they'll do an in-stock sale after that, with whatever's left over. So they're going to be a challenge to get. So you got to pay attention.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, that sucks. I mean, I like what Hasbro does. They like to do the out of stock sale.
Yeah,
As
right.
in, when you go to their site and you try to look something up, it's like out of
You
stock.
don't ever buy from their site unless you absolutely have to.
Of course. But I'm that sucker. See, I'm
You
that. There's
you are
one
that
born
sucker
every
that,
minute.
that Punk was talking about on Circle of Jerks today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I am. Okay. All right. So thanks for joining.
Thanks for indulging me.
The program is already in progress. So we'll say hello to a few people like a Giraffe, obviously, and Three Star Draw is definitely here. Stanley is in the house. HK Viper is here as well. Clint, the one and only Jorgensen. That's right, Clint. I'm saying your Nordic name. Actually, I have no idea where Jorgensen comes from. But to me, it's Nordic, so we're going to go there. I envision Clint, even though I did see him at Joe Fest like 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? I always envisioned Clint as like this Viking-looking dude with long hair
Well,
and
with
a
a name like
shield.
Jorgensen,
You know,
Jorgensen.
right. Yeah, maybe it's Swedish. I don't know. He could educate us. Educate me. Tell us your truth, Clint. He says got some Motu at my Target today and some BTAS figures. Cool. Okay, I love
Those
the
that
BTAS
latest
figures.
wave,
I'm a
the
fan.
the latest wave of those is pretty good.
I am a fan.
I wish that they weren't using the exact same molds and articulation that the DC Directs did back in the day. I wish McFarlane had updated it, but they're awesome looking. Don't yeah, they're
Um,
awesome.
I do. I love that. I love the angular look, of course, of that cartoon and everything. Yeah, Garaf, very intuitive, actually. It's F12, then hit the return button, then hit the space bar, control
Danish.
9, and I think you'll get it. Danish it is. All right. Well, bring me a muffin. No, I
No, he didn't say he.
don't, so stupid. I don't care. I'm feeling froggy. I saw, oh, Shimon last night. And I can't wait to get into that conversation. And
So we were debating what music to play in the clinic today because I saw
ah,
Michael over the weekend, and one
okay,
of my coworkers went to a George Strait concert. So
oh, stop it! I don't think there's a question about who wins that argument. Although
I am the
there,
boss. So
there you have it. There may be some in the chat who will say, "Well, I don't know," but yeah, for me, I'm sorry, I can't. Especially if you're trying to make the workday go faster. It's either don't stop till you get enough, or you got me working day and night. It's my, and then let's see here, Wolfgren. What the he double hockey sticks is going on? Good to see you. Turk is working in the shop. He's late. Not late, but he's working in the shop late. Hopefully not too late, brother. And yeah, good to see you, man. Okay. All right, let's see here. lick that like button, courtesy of Matthew Matson, quote unquote. So yeah. Oh, there we go. Hoist Mjolnir aloft and says, "By the power of Sweden."
and then you get struck by lightning.
No. Speaking of which, we have some storms in the area. So if something happens in the middle of the stream, just be aware. We do have some funky storms coming through. And yeah, Clock King, pretty cool one.
Clock King's a good
Seen
one.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Stanley. Uh, okay. And
That's
last,
that's an opinion there. 3-star.
yep. Now I will say this, and as we're going to talk about some music, we're going to talk about an artist, musical artist tonight. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Stool concert. I should probably rephrase that, but I'll just roll with it. Some people, if it's a part of the show, like, hey y'all, like Prince used to do this. He'd be like, hey, let me take a second. I'm gonna chill out, y'all. And then there'd be a stool on the stage. He'd sit down and do like an acoustic thing, or he actually had this chair that was like it was hydraulic, and he had a little foot thing on it, and he could press it a direction, and it would spin one way or spin the other way. And so he would use that in his concerts, especially later on in life. He'd sit down and he'd do an acoustic version of a lot of songs, and he would kind of push his foot one way and he'd swing around to the crowd this way, and then he'd maybe swing around this way, and he just uses his foot to control it. But not a fan of the most of the show being the sitting on a stool concert. Not that he doesn't have a million songs. I know
Yeah.
George Strait has a million number one hits and top 10 hits and all that. But I think I'd probably, that's one of those shows I honestly probably would be okay to maybe head out halfway through, if that makes sense. And it's no mark on the artist. It's just I need a little more energy, unless I'm in the mood for that kind of show, I guess,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah, we're going to talk about the Michael Jackson biopic and get into that here in a couple minutes. So anyway, so welcome in. Like I said, show is already in progress. Let's see here. I guess we could go over the numbers, Matthew.
The numbers. I think the numbers are very interesting this week.
I agree. there's a lot of there's a lot of regress in some of these numbers, but I'm curious to hear your take on this. So let me go ahead and bring this up for us, and just kind of go through these. I think we all know what's going to be at number one, which was the Michael biopic. 4 days in release. And if we get a better idea on this, I'm so glad you guys can't see the fly that just landed on my screen. Like it's thankfully when you share your screen, it doesn't share that. International, 121 million in 4 days, 104 domestic. He was gigantic overseas. We've all seen the videos of people, women fainting, right?
Yep. All over London.
30 seconds into the show, and there's women fainting being carried out, and I'm thinking, you didn't even get to see the first song. But this was. I think we all knew this was going to make some money, right?
Yeah,
without a doubt. And so domestic 104, international 121. Great numbers for 4 days. I don't think you and I did any guesses about where this movie would land as far as final takes. Do you have any idea?
Man, I don't know. I'm I'm looking at these opening weekend numbers, and it's got to be upwards of 600-700 million.
Yeah, I would think so. A billion 3-star. I don't know it's going to do a billion unless it just really. I think if there was some things in it, and we'll get into it. I think if there were some things in this movie that it maybe dug into. Yeah,
we'll get to that in a little bit. There's it's well worth going to see it in the theater.
No doubt.
And maybe even the Sphere, right? We'll get to it, but
Yeah, Shane, what's going on, man?
It definitely earned that box office.
And was going to earn it because Shane states it was going to make all the money. And it again gives you an idea of the power of those superstar artists. I know the Elvis biopic did very well also.
Well, if you compare them, there really isn't a comparison when you look at those biopic numbers.
No, and I think they're very different in tone and style what they do, right?
Yep.
But Project Hail Mary, though, after almost 40 days, man.
Love it.
Hanging in there, still kicking ass.
Absolutely.
And people still saying, hey, go check it out if you can catch it in IMAX, or if you which at this point I don't know. I have not looked in a while to see if you could even see it in IMAX at this moment. But still worth your time.
People are still going to go see it, so they're going to keep putting it back in there. So they keep having to petition to keep it in IMAX, and then they keep moving the times around based on the other obligations that they have.
And unfortunately, those obligations will roll on as more movies come out, right? So then it's a matter of trying to figure out, can you fit this in? And as we go along, that's only going to, unfortunately, get harder to do.
Yep.
What's up, Todd C? Shimon,
what's going on?
Project Hail Mary, by the way, sitting at a comfortable 614 million worldwide.
What's the total rate? The total right now is
614.
Yep.
Just a little bit better internationally, just a couple million better internationally, which is a little bit of a surprise to me.
This is kind of where I thought it was going to fizzle out, but it's not fizzling out yet.
No, and the weekly change was only 37%.
But
it's steady, but
yep.
I mean, it's obviously not going to have the considerable drop off week to week that you would have after like the second week, third week.
Right. Yeah.
But still, compared to some of these other films that have been out for, a couple weeks or 3 weeks or almost 2 months.
Right.
Super Mario Galaxy as a total take of 832 worldwide. That's probably expected after almost a month. Sitting comfortably also at number 3.
3, 1, 2, crunch.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Number 4, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, an absolute shat show.
Right, I can't believe that.
And I'm not gonna lie, man. Like the Red Letter Media review of this was really all I needed to see.
Right.
I was never going to watch this movie. To
No
be honest
desire
with you,
whatsoever.
it's just that's just how it is with that. I don't understand. I don't know how you would even connect this to the Universal monsters. I don't know how you would even make that case with this movie. It has
Yeah, it doesn't fit any of that.
not the premise or anything with the family and all that. Yumi and Tuscany, I mentioned that last week. 20 million
Yeah.
bucks. Hey, it's from the director of Girls Trip. For those of you so interested,
So yeah.
yeah, I'm sure. And then Hoppers, which we discussed, is you know 375 million. It's still sitting at number 6 after almost 2 months
Yeah.
in release, and really after that, I mean, other than Scream 7, you've got, I mean, Fight Club. They re-released Fight Club out in the theaters again.
Okay, good
I
for
think it
them.
made $47,000.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Uh,
Hey, you know what? I mean, that was kind of a niche movie when it came out, and once you're spoiled on it,
I think Fight Club is one of those movies that when it was out was not something that even me and my friends were like, oh gosh, we got to see. It's when it came out to home video is
now
when we watched the shit out of it.
we definitely went out to go see it in the theaters, because it's one of those stories where that's in Sixth Sense, where that friend would never sit next to me in the movie theater again because halfway through the movie I predicted the
Oh
twist.
yeah. Yeah, I remember you telling that. Yeah, I mean, of course, at that time, you'd be like, yeah, whatever,
Yeah, I
right?
mean,
Until the end, and then you're
and then
like,
you're like,
son
oh.
of a bitch. Yeah, Stanley, I don't know. A Top Gun double feature, I mean, in IMAX would definitely be awesome.
That second movie's so much better.
I, yes, overall as a film, yes, I agree.
But
Just
as a
from
kid, man, don't get me wrong, I love the first one,
and
obviously.
look, I mean, for us and for other people, I mean, the age group, the Russian MiG was like the end all be all of enemy planes at that time frame.
Yeah, but
Uh,
unfortunately, they didn't have a single MiG in the whole thing. Those were
well,
those were USAF trainer planes.
right, but they were Russian MiGs, right? Yeah.
I
But
knew they weren't even as a kid, but that's because
well,
who I am.
who didn't? This guy. Although, to be honest with you, they from a plane perspective, I don't even remember if I looked at him that closely. In the movie,
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's got the red
that's
star
not a
on it.
MiG. Yeah.
It's just about the red
So
star.
yeah,
So
it is what it is, right? I mean, and then and Clint's saying, "Hey, look, all the Michael showings are sold out today in our theater through 10:30 p.m." And that's on
nice.
a Tuesday.
That's awesome. Love it.
Damn.
Love it.
Uh, Word of mouth is strong with that film, and I think we're going to see that when we go to look at Rotten Tomatoes as just a baseline guide.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't trust it really, but all the other aggregate sites are using those numbers, so to speak, because
Yep.
when I went to research the other ones, they basically had the same numbers.
Yeah.
So yeah. But other than that, man, I mean, Fuse that nothing that I mean, that's obviously 2 million after 4
Right.
days. I don't know, but other than that kind of rounds out everything. I mean, the best of the best. Now, you said you had some thoughts on this box office
Well,
earlier, and I didn't know what maybe those were or what you were alluding to a little bit.
I just think it's interesting that you make something that's hopeful, that's entertaining, that gets the audience excited about something, and you can make quite a bit of money on it, right? I mean, Project Hail Mary and the Michael pick are all about the joy of going back to the movies and watching something, the joy of telling a good story, of having good music and
Shared experience.
shared experience and character performances. And how many people are running around saying "amaze, amaze, amaze," fist my bump, these days, right?
Right.
My A lot of my daughter's friends, 10-year-olds, are going to see Project Hail Mary, so or have seen it or are going to see it. Michael, that's a different story because that may be you know, most of the kids her age, their parents grew up in an era post Michael Jackson, right?
Sure.
So they didn't really understand what happened in the 80s and 90s with him. They just see the aftermath and they believe what they read in the media.
Well,
So
that makes sense. Now, for folks, old guys like us, yeah, it's more of having lived through it, and that's a conversation that I've had with a few people who I talked to today. That was kind of one of those things that came up. It was like, well, I lived through it, so
yeah, right.
and I guess really it's up to you. We can touch on it right now. Wait a minute. That's probably not. So we can talk about it right now and go through some of the things around this movie if you'd
Yep.
like to.
Yeah.
I have no problem doing that.
So 3 star, to your question, yeah, because there were some reviewers that were saying it's fine, it's okay, it just doesn't dig deep enough into the things that we want to see. We the dirt. We want to feel like we're insiders inside the Jackson family. This movie doesn't really do that. It kind of gives you a little bit of perspective, but for the most part, it's just these are the order of events of things that happened, and they leave stuff out. They leave quite a bit out
and that
because they
that's
legally had to.
well, okay, and we're gonna get to that. I wanted to lead off with this. So, Hollywood Reporter, this is from the 27th of April, which was what, yesterday, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So anyway, box office stunner, Michael over the moon with record 97 million U.S. opening. That is the top launch ever for a biopic domestically, after
Yep.
passing up Oppenheimer, as well as the best global opening for a music biopic. After overcoming one of the biggest divides between audiences and critics in recent memory. And that is the part that I wanted to get into as we kind of dig into this movie.
Yeah.
And so let me share this tab from Rotten Tomatoes. Okay.
Clint, it wasn't just the music industry he was standing up to.
Yeah, yeah. And that's for sure. And some would consider Prince in that same.
Yeah,
Which
Prince was
I
absolutely.
have a
Yeah.
lot of
Yep.
knowledge about him and his dealings with the music industry in the mid and late '90s and early
Oh yeah.
2000s. But so you guys see here on the screen, we're looking at a 97% audience score, and we're looking at a 38% media critic score. Okay.
Yep.
Now, a lot of these critics, when you go through some of these critic reviews, they come from people that you and I, that the audience has never heard of.
Yep.
These are websites you never knew existed. They've never been referenced by anybody. So somehow there's people who are getting critic badges, critic approval, whatever that
Hey,
means.
I'm just saying, Harvey has his holdovers. They still are out there.
Sure. But realistically though, a 38%, I don't know. There's only one reason
Yep.
why someone who watches this movie would be that upset, and it's only because, not because maybe they do kind of not rush through, but just chronologically go, okay, here's the kids in Gary, Indiana, and
Mhm.
at the end of the film, it's the bad tour. Okay.
1988.
There's a lot in between there, but a lot of these critics are upset that they didn't get into the allegations, the court settlement, and such in the early '90s. That
Which
is
they
their biggest problem. A lot of these critics have with this movie. Nothing else
Yeah.
other than that.
Well, and if you've listened to anything that the director has said, this is not the movie I turned in. My director's cut had a whole bunch of other stuff in it. This was the sanitized legal version that they could release because of all the stipulations and the lawsuits that were potentially filed on behalf of other people like Diana Ross, the music industry, the media conglomerates, and the stipulations in the settlement agreement that they can't talk about that. So they had to pull stuff out. So he has a whole nother movie that's ready to go that goes up to the mid to late 90s.
So we have to understand, and that's the part that I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit before we get into really the meat of this movie,
Yeah.
is that anybody that was expecting this film to get into the allegations of the child stuff that we all kind of know about, we're all of an age where we went through it, we lived through it. Um, I think, yes, it is okay for people to maybe have expected that to be part of the story because I don't think anybody really knew where this was going to fully go. How
Right.
far is this a two-parter? Is this just one movie that covers the entire breadth and span of his career, the good and the bad, all the way to
Right.
This Is It, during the This Is It, where he was rehearsing for the O2 in London when he passed away.
Yep.
Um, and I'd say that it's fair that a lot of people would expect that this would be covering those things that a lot of people don't like to talk about. However, you and I both know, and maybe not everybody knows this, but yes, this as part of the, I guess, settlement, like, yes, the director filmed an entire third act basically that
Yeah.
does somewhat deal with these allegations and the fallout.
Hmm.
Um, they were unable to use this and
Yep.
had to pull this third act. And did you feel when you watched it, did you feel like it just kind of ended abruptly? Did you feel that it
Yep.
was like,
It's like,
oh,
here we are, and we're done.
oh,
and
okay.
they left it wide open. I mean, there's even a little title card there at the end that insinuates we're going to tell more of this story, and not even over the weekend. Just a couple days ago, they're like, yes, we're greenlit for the sequel. We're going to figure a way to get the rest of this movie out.
It definitely okay, so I'll share this tab right here.
Yep.
And I'll see because I've got it downloaded kind of. So the director says he had already handed in his director's cut when he got the call that the film could not use the Jordan Chandler allegations because of a legal settlement cause. Okay, and then let's see here. Go back here. It says the original cut went as far as 1995 when
Yep.
Fuqua says things turned against Michael. The final version now ends in 1988 before the public allegations that later defined Jackson's legacy. And then lastly, here it says Fuqua says about one third of his footage did not make the final film and that some of it could still be used in a sequel. Asked if he wants to return, he said it would kill me if somebody else did it.
Right.
So yeah, it was supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
It had to get cut. And I have to say that would this film have been better with that information in it? How do you feel about that? Do you think that it would have kind of put a dour bow at the end of it? I would say.
It well, it really depends on how they handled it, but yeah, I mean, it always leave them wanting more. They left you wanting more, right? They ended on such a high note that it's like, yeah, 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 but we hit the climax, but we don't get the epitaph, right? We don't get the ending of the story yet. And that is a completely different movie. This movie also didn't have anyone younger than Michael and his family in it. Um, so
Yeah,
so it skipped his younger brothers, and so
Janet chose not to. She really didn't want anything to do with this
mhm.
at all. She did not want anything to do with this at
Yep.
all. And also we're gonna watch something by Paris Jackson here in a second. So let's just kind of break it down. And I'm hoping I'm saying it's Mickey 802 I'll just say Mickey or Mikey. I hope no. It says no disrespect to Prince, but Michael Jackson posed a far greater threat to the music industry. Um, I guess it depends on how you look at it. I think Prince was a lot more forward in his wanting to control the his own catalog,
His own, yeah,
own his own
yep,
rights, and also at the same time release music to the customer direct to consumer rather than have the middleman and the record company. I think Michael was very okay with having a record company
yeah.
that was very much involved in his life, where I think Prince
Well,
did
so
not want a record company involved in his life.
yeah,
That's just my opinion on
you,
it.
you look at the two men individually, and you see that Michael grew up in the industry, and his closest friends were some of the record producers that he got connected with. They were more of a father figure than Joe was to him in terms of the encouragement, in terms of the respect. So he had a totally different connection with the record companies than Prince did. And so that's why he was more willing to work with them. And because, he got that one record executive to fight for him to put everything on the line to make sure that his videos were played on MTV,
Yeah,
and
there's some poignant scenes I think in the movie. Now, again, I don't know. I, when you do a biopic, obviously, I'd say there's some flair added here and
yeah,
there,
of
depending
course.
on the director. Baz Luhrmann did that with the Elvis biopic. There's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that's put in there that
Yep.
either didn't happen or
Sure.
it was conversation. Um,
It's the way with
but yeah,
all biopics. There's none of them that are really accurate.
right, and this one in particular, yeah, there are moments where they make it a point to show, for instance, they show his dad beating him with a belt. They show his dad making fun of the size of his nose.
No, right at the beginning of the movie.
Very beginning of the movie, they show his dad. Obviously, his dad Joe is the bad guy in this film. It's no bones about it. He
Yep.
is made out to be like the antagonist. Um, but then you have scenes where he gets a chimpanzee, right? He
Yep.
gets Bubbles. Barry Gordy is with Motown is telling him how special he is and how
Yep.
really good he is, and he kind of pushes Joe out of the session when they're recording, and shows Michael like how to record, right, instead of
Yep.
dancing so much. He needs to stand still when he's recording. There's scenes that later on where his bodyguard, right, which his bodyguard, kind of his driver, really
Yeah.
makes up a large portion of this film, which kind of
Yep.
took me a little by surprise, I guess. But
Well, you
there's
got to think
scenes,
that was his closest person, right?
probably so,
I mean,
right?
he was with
So
him every minute of every day, pretty much.
right. And so there's scenes in here they want you to see things that may be shaped how he felt about his personal appearance
Yep.
or other things. I know what you're speaking of about the I think it's CBS Records.
Hmm.
At the time, the CEO or head of CBS Records calls up the head of MTV and basically says that we're going to pull all of our artists off of MTV if you do not put Billie Jean
Yep.
in heavy rotation in the next 10 minutes.
Yep.
Right.
And so yes, the the I love Al Weird. That was fun. Yeah, the record company were behind a lot of the allegations and things like that happened, but he didn't see that until it was way too late. And it was because they wanted to make sure that they had control of him, and he didn't want to play the game. He didn't want to play Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein's game, and so they accused him of everything that they were doing, like most of the time that happens.
Well, so and this is where, okay.
And I
So
would say that he owned all of Sony Records, like for a
well,
minute there.
we have, yeah, but we have to balance this because if you recall, at his passing, I mean, it was well reported. Like he was in the process of selling Neverland Ranch. He was
Yep.
heavily in debt.
Well, he was bankrupt.
Absolutely. So like we have to balance this with like, yeah, he was powerful and he owned half the, but then at the same token, he was spending way more than he was bringing in, especially in the last 15 years of his life,
So,
probably.
so I'll put it like this: as soon as he cut Joe off from his life, and Joe was no longer a part of all that stuff, he felt free, and he was a kid spending
Sure.
money, and so he spent all of his money. He didn't think about the future. He didn't think about investments. He didn't think about long term things.
Other than, look, investing in the Beatles
Well,
catalog, which he famously outbid Paul McCartney at the auction for the actual catalog. He outbid
did
him.
you did you
After
see that?
even, yeah, well, he told Paul, you need to own your catalog, and then when he outbid him at the auction, and Paul was pissed off, and he was like, I told you
So
that you should have bought
I
your
came across
catalog.
a video today where I don't know the artist. I can't think who the artist is, but he's making a video with Paul McCartney, and Michael comes on stage or comes into onto set, and he's talking with Paul, and he says, "If you were to buy the Beatles catalog or sell the Beatles catalog, what would you sell it for?" And he says, $60 million. Wow, that's a lot of money. And he walks off, makes a phone call, comes back the next day, and Paul is pissed and he's ranting and he's yelling at Michael because he just purchased the Beatles catalog for $64 million. And he says, "You asked for 60. I gave 64. That's a lot of money."
Right. I mean, it's it's interesting because there was a time, and you and I definitely remember this, that yeah, like you could not go anywhere, you could not see anything, you could not go to the skate center, you couldn't go to a record store, you couldn't turn on the radio, and it was MJ all the time.
Yep.
And they do a good job of kind of portraying the not only the period with Motown as kids and them out touring while they're in school, but then him doing going to Epic, and then him doing his solo record Off the Wall. I just wish we'd have spent a little more time on some of the more poignant moments that
Yeah.
happened, rather than just kind of and then this happened, and then
Mm-hmm.
this performance, and then this record, and then this meeting, and then I wish we'd have been able to take the time. They do. I will say this. They do spend a little bit of time showing him in his bedroom looking through a Peter
Peter
Pan
Pan.
book.
They got to put that Peter Pan book in everywhere. So
It's
when
in
he's
a
in the hospital,
lot.
when he's in the
Yes.
hospital, it's there. Whenever he's feeling down, he goes back to it. You hear him quoting it, and you hear him, rereading it and talking about it with everybody.
He's telling the Bubbles, the
Yep.
chimp,
Yep. This is my
and
favorite page.
oh yeah, I mean they're a reference. I felt like I was watching Alien Earth there for a second, Matthew.
Yeah.
I literally was like, wait a minute, Wendy? No, so they do make it a point to definitely um show you the Peter Pan parts of it. Him still being childlike. He references animals being his friends. Even the very first scene, folks, of the movie is him staring out a window in the winter as kids are outside playing in the snow, and he's staring out the window, and he gets called to do a rehearsal in the living room with the other brothers
Yep.
to practice playing and singing.
Yep.
Um, Now, there's a lot of history within this family. There's a lot of behind the scenes history. There's a lot of crap. And I mean a lot of crap with this family.
Yeah.
And that's, I know it's about Michael, and so it has to focus on him.
Yeah.
But I do wish they had taken some of the family stuff and maybe spent a little time showing the dysfunction between the brothers, because folks, I'm going to tell you,
Those brothers.
The
Yeah.
victory tour,
Yeah. That was a stressful tour.
he by the end of it,
Yeah.
he was not talking to
Yeah.
Jermaine. He was not talking to a couple of his brothers. They were not on speaking terms, and they
Yep.
kind of don't even present that at all. They
Right.
only present him basically, and you can find clips of it. You can find clips of it on YouTube of him telling everybody, surprisingly, hey, this is the end. This is our last tour. This is the end of it. I love the fans. Thank you all. You can find that video
Yep.
on it's at Dodger Stadium. They do interject that into the film, but what they don't do is show how difficult that tour was for him
Yep.
after burning his hair and
Yep.
his head, and then having to do a tour where he didn't want to do it,
Right.
and his father raising the ticket prices
Yep.
well beyond the norm at that time in the early to mid 80s.
Yep.
Very stressful tour, and they don't even really touch on any of that.
Yeah.
They actually use another catalyst, as in he finally is growing up to be his own man, and
Right.
that's the catalyst for him. This is his way of firing his father once and for all.
And he had
Is
to do it
to
on stage in public in front of everyone, basically.
right.
And then, when he actually tells the lawyer to fax him, to fire his dad.
Yes. And so it's interesting because in some ways I think this achieves what it wanted to achieve.
Yep.
Remember the music,
Yep.
remember the performer,
Yep.
and that's what makes everybody feel good. I do believe it is a plus, Matthew, that this film did not end or have a third act that pretty much covers those allegations and the last several years of his life. I think had this film done that, maybe it will in a sequel, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been a big downer for people walking out of the theater. Do you agree with that?
Like I said, I don't know. It depends on how you handle that. There's yeah, I mean, ultimately, yes, because obviously that was the downturn. That's ultimately what drove him to all these other things. And the fire actually got him hooked on the meds. But he had a lot of struggles, and a lot of demons in his life that he had to deal with. And ultimately, it got him. But they could have spun some other parts of that with creating a family and that kind of stuff too, which was, I know, a challenge for him. But
yeah, you're right. And as Clint says, look, to be fair, and you could say this about a lot of successful people, is that what made him great was his dad pushing him. MJ was asked if he could have it to do over, would he want more of a childhood? He said he wouldn't change a thing about his childhood. If in fact that is true.
Well,
maybe,
the quote that I saw was, if you would change anything, what would you change? And he said, I'd practice more.
Yeah, I mean,
is what he said.
I don't know how much more you.
I don't know how much more he could practice, but that's what he said at the time, and this was early '90s.
And I think that and yeah, Mikey, you're right with that too, as far as like not just the Beatles acquisition, but that's obviously the biggest name, right? That's the biggest that's going to get the headlines out of that acquisition. But
sure,
there's more to that. But look. It is true. If you think about people that are the greatest that we've seen, or the top of the tops in whether it's musicianship or artistry or acting or whatever, they usually are people who throw everything into their craft.
Right.
There is no off
There's
switch.
nothing. Yeah. You think about Prince. There's no off switch with Prince. His entire house was recorded for sound. He was recording all the time. He was making music wherever he was, always coming up with ideas.
And just, whatever legends, I guess, that we want to say. And usually there is some kind of driving force. And there are some similarities because even with Prince, his father was a pretty shitty person.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we will probably never see the 9-hour Prince documentary.
Oh man, I know. I would love to see
damn shame.
I would love to see the making of Religiosity that Kevin Smith did. I would love to see that 9-hour documentary. But we are getting is a bunch of new songs this year that his family is releasing from the vault, which I showed you the first one that they released 8 days ago.
Yep. Yep. And so yeah, look, I mean, there's as with most people who are incredibly gifted, uh, there sometimes is either look, there's either an awkwardness or there's a part of them socially, or there's a
Yeah,
part of them, something is missing. You sacrifice something
yeah,
in turn to do this. And I would say Michael's not much different in that respect. I
yeah.
would say, right, having to, good
Well,
Lord.
I think we can pull it all down to truly be great. You have to unbalance your life to focus on one thing so intently that you become really good at it, right? So,
Sure. Now,
and
I will say this: did you have so overall your thoughts on it? And I don't think there's a lot to spoil because I think
no,
most
yeah,
of what's in the movie is stuff that most people kind of know. Has been covered in a documentary, covered in
yeah,
a Barbara Walters special, has been covered in the Jacksons, I think,
yep,
made for TV movie or whatever
whatever,
miniseries.
yeah.
Um, it,
You know what?
what for the
The,
movie? Like, how did you feel about it
oh,
overall?
I liked
And
it. My daughter loved
okay,
it. She was singing in the theater. I mean, my daughter had a blast with this movie. My wife liked it a whole lot. My biggest disappointment was they didn't include Captain EO in the story.
I went to see Captain EO at Epcot Center in
That's right.
1990.
So
I
yeah,
did I
it
did see Captain
was
EO.
it 85 to 92 or 3, somewhere around that
Something
time
like
frame
that. Yeah.
is how long that ran. And I remember seeing it like in 85. Like it was brand new to Epcot Center
Yeah.
was Captain EO. And I remember watching that as a kid at Epcot Center and going, this is amazing. I'm at Disney World. I'm at Epcot, watching Star Trek movies, watching shuttle launches, and going to see Michael Jackson, his latest movie, so to speak, which wasn't a thing at the time yet, because this was before Thriller. Um, yeah, well, because 85, so
Well,
86.
what EO?
EO was 85 and
Yeah, that
86.
was post Thriller. Thriller was
Okay,
82.
okay, no,
Yeah.
82. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
82.
well, what was his
82
86?
into 83 into 84.
Yeah,
Crazy enough.
what was his 86 album? But it was before.
That was bad.
Yeah, it was before Bad. Yeah,
Yeah. 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 But yeah, I do remember going to see it at Epcot with on a vacation in 1990. And look, I don't remember exactly what I thought about it then, but I was definitely wrapped up in the Michael Jackson madness. I did go
yeah.
see the Victory Tour in Knoxville, Tennessee. My mom worked for Pepsi Cola,
Ah,
and they gave families tickets.
that's
So
it.
my mom, my sister, and myself, we took a van bus with other families that worked at the same Pepsi plant place as my mom. And so we took a van bus thing from Nashville to Knoxville, and went to Neyland Stadium and saw the Victory Tour. And there are bits and pieces of it I can definitely remember. And when I
Yeah,
go back and watch the entire show on YouTube, because there are recorded shows of it,
sure.
there are bits and pieces that I definitely remember. And what I remember the most is that they didn't play Thriller, and that leads me to a comment by Clint, and it is fascinating because he got roped in to doing this Victory Tour with his brothers,
Yeah,
okay, post Thriller. Clint says if anybody deserved a headline their own tour, it was MJ with that Thriller album, which absolutely, of course, makes sense in the record industry, especially at that time. The brothers should have let him go, but they knew they needed to live off him, kind of like they are now. Yeah, so Joe kind of
it was
put
definitely
that thing
Joe.
together
Yeah,
and
I
twisted
mean,
his arm into that tour.
I mean, the other brothers were trying to do their own thing. Some of them were trying to make their own albums. Others of them,
Jermaine had some success as
yeah,
a solo artist on Motown.
right. And some of the others were like, okay, we'll get on with regular life now and find a job and have a family and do normal stuff. But it was Joe really driving that, I think. But
It was, but that tour though, huge, high-grossing tour, very successful. They played all the Jackson Five, then the Jackson stuff, then they did Michael's stuff as well, solo stuff. Very good, amazing band, amazing, absolute live band, funky, very high tempo show. It's a lot of fun to go back and watch that show for anybody that's a big Michael Jackson fan. Go back and watch the Victory Tour. Show or anything from prior to that with the Jacksons, like in 1980 or something like that. It's very fun, high energy tours. But
and
yeah,
I will be fair and be honest with you guys. I was not a Michael Jackson fan in the day.
really,
I, except for Captain EO, that sparked my interest, and
okay,
I did like some of his music, but it didn't. I wasn't drawn towards it like I was other things until much later. Uh, you know, and then the accusations came out, and I believed them for so long until relatively recently, the last 10 years or so. I'm like, well,
okay,
maybe not, maybe not.
yeah. It. I mean, look.
And then when the FBI files got released in 2009, that kind of settled the whole thing for me. But
Well, I will say this is at the time when all that stuff was going down. Okay, and I'm in high school and
yeah,
about that age, getting out. Yeah, 3 star. Yeah. Sorry, man. I mean, uh, so you know, I want people to understand the appearance, the surgeries,
yeah,
the mysteriousness,
yeah.
the reclusiveness, the behaviors. And even
It was,
post that where he's holding his child over a balcony. I mean, that's some weird shit,
yeah.
man.
That
Like
was
you
a
have to,
challenging moment. But if you look at it through today's lens, you're like, man, this is a man who was topped off. He was done with being in the public eye. He was tired
sure.
of trying to hide and protect his children, and they're craving to get pictures of him, and all they want to do is see him and the baby and all this other stuff. It was, I can't imagine the amount of stress that he was under with all that stuff.
Well,
But
your
at the
entire
time,
life.
yeah, your entire life, and then to have that explosion when he does that, it's like, looking back on it, you can understand it, but at the time, you're like, what is this lunatic doing?
Yeah, I mean, it did not look good.
No,
It did not look good. Out of the courtroom, getting on top of the car, dancing and stuff. And I mean, I remember all that and just thinking like, what are you doing, man? Like
yeah,
this doesn't look good after, leaving court. And yes, there are fans and there are people who support you, but and I think again that's one of those things of like, well, this is what I would do. I would not do these things. I would be
yeah,
like contrite and just slip my ass in the limo and take off. But we're not him, all right? You're not that person, for what that's worth. But there was a lot of behavior that I could see obviously makes a lot of people go, man, what the hell's happening here? And firmly believe a lot of allegations.
right.
Now, I will say this. Um, the director of the Leaving Neverland movie, which was from the couple of the accusers' point of view,
Yeah,
uh, he obviously is coming out in full court press
yep,
against this film. Full
yep,
court press
of course.
against Michael, saying he's worse than Epstein. And that people don't care, even though supposedly, there's proof. He says that the biopic is proof. People don't care that he was a child, a file. And those are his, his words. I mean, whatever his thoughts.
Yeah,
Um, and you could see this full court press coming out by some people, right?
like I said,
Um,
Weinstein and Epstein have their people everywhere still.
Sure. And this guy says, look, a lot of people will kind of swallow any misgivings they may have had, just say, hey, it's a great jukebox movie, and just completely ignore the other parts of this guy's life. And we talked a little bit about before we went on about the fact that anytime celebrities settle, out of court, it's assumed that they're guilty, right? The assumption is that they're guilty, and they just want to make something go away. And sometimes, and a lot of times, there's a lot more to that
Yep.
than being guilty. It's about further damages or further monetary spending on trials or
Yep.
court or lawyers. And you just want to be able to make that just kind of get out of your life. And then also just close whatever that chapter is and move on if you can.
Yeah, and that's why I say that the criminal trial kind of puts everything to rest, because once those FBI files were released from the criminal trial, they turned his life upside down for 13 years, put him to court, got all the testimony, got all the evidence, and all of the charges were eventually dropped because they had nothing. They had no evidence of anything for any of those charges. None of the eyewitnesses panned out. None of the evidence that they pulled from his house panned out for anything. So, I mean, you look at, okay, say what you want. Corey Feldman was calling this stuff out in 1993 when the LA Police Department pulled him in and questioned him about Michael, and he listed off a dozen other PDF files in Hollywood, in the industry, that were doing bad stuff to kids.
Yep.
And they ignored the hell out of him because he didn't say Michael Jackson once. And so they said, forget you. You're not what we want. And that freaking broke the man. The man got broken by that whole system. He lost faith in everything and didn't know what he was going to do, didn't know how far the rabbit hole went of all these people protecting all these PDF files, these maps that need to be hung up on the ceiling with nails, right? And then you have Macaulay Culkin, who's gone out there at every opportunity to firmly express that nothing happened, that he was the most gentle, kind person that he had ever met in his entire life, and that he saved him, that he saved many people. There's another kid who went on there and has recently, last 10 years or so, I guess, come out and had interviews where he said, yeah, I walked into this room and there are these guys in suits and my mom, and they're trying to get me to say stuff about Michael that wasn't true. I said, what are you guys, crazy? I mean, he was the most hospitable guy ever. I mean, he never did anything like that. I know. No. You said, well, you just don't know. He says, no, I know what that means. And
Right.
that didn't happen. And so you can see how this idea of money, of taking a piece of the glory from someone else is appealing to some people, and they'll do whatever it takes to get their chunk of it, their pound of flesh, so to speak. And ultimately it was conscripted, if you look into the details of it, if you want to, by the music industry, by Hollywood, by the media industrial complex, because he was getting too big, too powerful. He was a threat to them, and he didn't want to play their game. He didn't want to belly up to Harvey Weinstein or Jeffrey Epstein. He wouldn't play those games. And so they said, well, if you're not playing the games, well, then you're out. And if you're out, we're going to accuse you of everything that we're doing.
Well, and, that makes perfect sense, because if you want to throw the heat off of you, then you throw it on somebody else.
That's right. Every time.
It's send the pitchfork somebody else's direction, right? Put it
Yeah.
in Frankenstein's way. And look, easy mark. In my opinion, easy mark.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
through the way that he had changed, visually, and again, reclusive. Definitely did have children around. That for a lot of people is something that is obviously unusual. That's
yeah.
so yeah. So, but I will say, and this is going to be interesting to look at. Is that you sent me something that Paris
Yeah.
Jackson
Yeah.
had put, and so I kind of wanted to share this and maybe get everybody's opinion on this about her comments on the movie and her dad. And I'm hoping this isn't too loud, y'all. I gotta admit, if I could adjust the audio for this, I would. But it was Instagram is really weird when it comes to audio. So hopefully this isn't too crazy loud. Sometimes online they make it really difficult to try to adjust it. So I'll do my best. But this is Paris Jackson, shares her honest thoughts on the Michael Jackson biopic, and this is her own words, and you guys can make of it what you want.
Why I haven't said anything up until this point is because I know a lot of you guys are going to be happy with it. Like, a big section. The film panders to a very specific section of my dad's fandom that still lives in the fantasy, and they're going to be happy with it. The thing about these biopics is it's Hollywood, so it's fantasy land. It's not real, but it's sold to you as real, and a lot of sugar-coated, like the narrative is being controlled, and there's a lot of inaccuracy, and there's a lot of just full-blown lies. And at the end of the day, like, that doesn't really fly with me. I don't really like dishonesty. I spoke up. I wasn't heard. I f***ed off. That's it. Y'all are gonna like the movie, so just go watch it, go enjoy it, do whatever, leave me out of it. Something that, like, quite a lot of people are saying is, like, she hates her dad. She resents him. She wants nothing to do with him. Because I'm not, like, calling the shots on set, being a big shot producer of a movie that's filled with just inaccuracies. That's not my truth. That's not where I'm coming from. I just prefer honesty over, like, sales and monetary gain. Like, that's it. And I kind of just don't want anything to do with that.
So first, folks, let me tell you, if you come across any woman that does this, okay, this right here, any woman that does this, stay far, far away.
It's not my truth. It's not
any
my
woman
truth.
that talks about her truth,
Yeah.
run the other direction, okay? Yep. Far, far away. When they start talking about their truth, and they start doing this, okay? The claw hands, okay? Yeah, look. There's some family stuff going on here, okay?
Well, okay.
And we talked about this a little bit.
You got to think about it, though, right? She was, what, 11, you said?
11 when he died. She was 11 years old when Michael Jackson passed away.
And her life was turned upside down from day one, right? And so she's been in the limelight, too. So she's been trying to find what's real. I believe that about her, that she wants to be as real as possible, but at the same time she's not being realistic about what a biopic is in terms of, you know, telling a story, creating a narrative. And I don't know what story she wants to tell, and I think she's taking digs at Prince here, Prince Jackson.
I think she's taking digs at the family, and she's taking digs at Jermaine and Jafar, who is playing Michael in this movie. You know.
Yeah, I think so, but I think she's also taking digs at her own brother.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's possible. You said that he was he consulted on this movie? Was he?
I don't know what involvement he had. Other than he has an executive producer credit, which means that that he did have some say in what was going on, and he was a part of it. And if she's saying, you know, being a big shot producer on set, calling all the big shots, well, that's what an EP thinks that they do, right? Sure. And so you give that EP title to Prince, and then that's, you know, you could make that assumption. You could say that it was one of the other uncles, one of her uncles, that also had similar roles in creating this. It didn't seem like she was going after Jafar, other than the fact that he's making money off this because he got to act in it and perform in it, and he did an amazing job of recreating some of these scenes.
Yes,
you know, and you know, he did the part. And yes, it is a biopic. Yes, there are inaccuracies. Yes, there are non-truths in it. Every biopic that's ever been made is full of falsehoods to tell a story, to tell a narrative that is somewhat true, right? To the heart of the matter. And this was a perspective that this director and these people were trying to tell on Michael's life. And it's one that resonates with a lot of people right now. So
I think the thing of it is too, is that after he passed, look, she's been filled in on a bunch of stuff by family members, a dysfunctional family.
Oh yeah.
With super dysfunctional family members. Stu, how you doing, man?
Can we say hi to GI Jetman? What's up, man?
There he is, the one and only. Yeah, so here's the deal. A lot of things have been filled in for her by family that everybody has their own like motive for trying to sway her or whatever for whatever reason, depending on what stake she has in whatever.
Yep.
But also the other family stuff is that Jafar, who plays Michael in this, adult Michael in this movie, is the son of Jermaine and Jermaine's wife. Well, Jafar's mother dated Randy Jackson and had 2 kids with Randy Jackson. They never got married. And then she got with Jermaine afterwards, and then has like a couple kids with Jermaine.
Right.
And one of them is in this movie playing Michael Jackson. So you can imagine the family dysfunction that runs rampant all the way back, shown in the film. Okay, shown in the film all the way back to when Joe is the dad and the boys are the product. And so God only knows what kind of things have been told and said. And
and like you said earlier, the last tour that they did as the Jackson 5, that they weren't even talking to each other at the end, and this movie doesn't ever portray friction between the brothers.
None.
It doesn't show any of that. It completely cuts out every family member younger than Michael, so Janet and the younger brothers, and so you're completely putting them to the side, and then you're not showing the other friction that was involved, and they, for storytelling purposes, for whatever, they put Catherine in the best of light of things.
Oh wow!
And she was mildly, if not a whole lot, complicit into the things that Joe did with the kids.
I mean, well, and they, for the most part, they show her as the passive, kind of like the mom in the corner who just kind of sighs and shakes her head like, "Oh, you beating them boys with a belt again, Joe? Gosh darn it." Like she never, ever really says anything.
And we don't, I mean, none of us know anything about her in reality.
Not really.
We don't know what kind of person she is in reality. We can only assume that she probably was a passive wife.
Oh, I'm sure she was probably scared to death she would go and get that hand.
Well, I mean, she'd get killed by Joe, and Joe would move on, right? And continue making money off the boys. And so she played her part, I'm sure, in a lot of these things. They kind of touched on it, but they didn't even go into it. Somebody else brought it up in the chat earlier about the Jehovah's Witness stuff. They barely. And I know they don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole, but at the same time, it was a part of those boys' lives. It's why they didn't have Christmases and birthdays.
Right. And there is a part of a scene where he does mention about, he would, he'd get up in the middle of the night, if he had a song idea, and he had to write it out because he says something about that God is going to give it to Prince.
Yeah. Oh, well, he was famous for saying that for sure. I mean, there's a couple quotes on that. He's like, "I got to get this down and make this happen. I got to record this stuff. Otherwise, God's going to give it to Prince."
Yeah.
Which shows a great rivalry and an interesting connection. His belief in the connection of the universal things and where creativity was being funneled.
Sure. Now, I will say, and Prince also became a Jehovah's Witness in 1999, and was until the end of his life.
Yeah.
So So a couple little things I noticed in this film was funny. There's a scene where he shows up he calls up somebody and he's like, he goes somewhere, I don't know, it's a studio or a club, and there's all these gangbangers. There's all these gangbangers in Encino, and they're like, dancing in a club. They're popping and locking and whatever. And Michael's there, and he's like, hey, I like that dance. What dance is that? And one guy goes, oh, yeah, dog, that's the sea walk. And I'm like, they weren't going to say Crip Walk. They were not going to say Crip Walk in this movie. They said the sea walk. I was like,
but they did play news footage of the time talking about the Bloods and the Crips war.
Did.
So they did mention them.
But I thought it was so funny. And then I'm like, Michael's in here with all these gangbangers, and he's like, what do you think about this move? And he's like, oh, and they're all like, oh, dog, that's awesome. And I'm thinking, what? Like, wait a minute.
Well, so if you look at some of those moves, I mean, he was pretty slick in some of them, but anyway, it is interesting that he did use actual LA gang members.
For sure.
In it was Beat It. Yeah.
But look, of course he had choreographers and stuff like that. But it was just so funny. That scene to me was like
it was kind of humorous and kind of out there. But you know what? I don't put it past him for doing something crazy like that.
I don't put it past the fact that he'd be naive enough, but then at the same time, everybody knew who he was. And then also too, though, I also wish that maybe we'd have gotten a little more of some real world MTV clips, like some more real world. There's a few in there, but I wish we'd have gotten a little bit more to set the time frame. Like a documentary kind of does, I guess. I did think it was weird that when he went to go visit kids, when he was recovering from his burns, he's walking through the hospital pushing a little thing as he's walking, and he's got his glove on. It's like brother's wearing his glove even in the hospital as he's recovering in a gown. He's got his white glittery glove on.
I don't doubt it. He's trying to hide that skin pigmentation thing. It's more than that. It was about trying to hide that as he's losing his pigmentation.
Yep. But also that for instance, just the recording processes, working with Quincy Jones, Eddie Van Halen. They make a big deal out of the solo on on Beat It. But like, there's no Eddie Van Halen. There's no none of it. No Toto. No any of the recording processes other than Berry Gordy, and they do have Quincy.
Quincy, but remember how he got hooked up with Quincy? How did he meet Quincy Jones?
Oh, I don't remember how he met Quincy.
He met Quincy Jones when they were doing The Wiz. And you can't talk about The Wiz because Diana Ross was with it.
Well, yeah, that's true, because they do leave out the Wiz part.
And Diana Ross was grooming Michael Jackson, literally grooming
100%.
From day one.
And I think everybody knows that Diana was taking advantage of him when he was younger. As a teenager.
In every way.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. But, some of the recording processes I would have liked to maybe spend a little more time on. Maybe the rivalry between him and Prince. Some of that. But
rivalry, but I think friendly competition rivalry.
Yeah, sure. But I think, too, just, unfortunately, and some of the critics, and I will agree with this a little bit, it was kind of sanitized, like I said at the beginning. It kind of is and then this happens, and then this happens.
That is the biggest criticism that I do agree with.
There definitely is there's no We Are the World. So I mean, these are monumental moments that happen.
They alluded to it. They did allude to it a couple of times. And he's talking about bringing peace together, and hey, I've got an idea, then they skipped that portion and moved on to something else. So it looks like they probably filmed all of that and then cut it. I mean, I believe it was probably part of the lawsuits or the legal agreement to not put that in this movie. Because
It's
there's too
possible.
many people involved with that they would
Well,
have to get approval rights from.
well, I don't know because I think to an
Like I said,
extent,
there's 3 hours that was never shown on
yeah.
screen that
But
was filmed.
you can portray other celebrities. It doesn't mean it's a one to one, stuff like
Well,
that. But
no, I get that, but I mean, he alluded to it, and then they like cut. It was like an abrupt cut, and they completely skipped like a section, and you can feel it. I felt it in the movie when he mentions it. I said, "Oh, they're gonna do We Are the World," and
yeah,
then boom, we're on to something else. And
yeah,
I'm like,
no,
what the heck happened there?
it briskly moves along the
Yeah,
history, and for that, I think most fans will go see the movie. They're gonna get on in the theater, and they're gonna be digging the music and dancing in their seats. And there are reports of people getting up and dancing down front. It's not that kind of movie. Like
no,
they don't play full songs, and they don't
no,
give you like the whole. It kind of all of a sudden, it's bits and pieces. They edit it. They pull certain parts out. They fill in other parts of the music, and then all of a sudden, it's like him talking, and then all of a sudden the song comes together, and it's like boom, and then it starts playing the song for several seconds, and then that's
right,
it. They're not playing the whole song.
right.
So, but yeah, look, it's fun. It's a walk down memory lane. I know
Yep.
we spent a lot of time on it, but I thought it deserved a lot of time because we lived through this period of time, and I think it's hard for people to understand just how massive that he was, especially in 1982, 83,
Yep.
84,
My best
85.
friend was so into Michael Jackson. I'm like, I don't get it, dude.
By the mid to so the midway point of the back end of the 80s, if you go to like 1987,
Yeah.
Prince, Madonna, Michael Jackson, those three,
Janet was still a part of that too.
Janet was on her way in 87. Janet was
87,
not
okay.
there yet. But those three, I mean, Michael and Madonna and Prince, like those were the top of the top at that
Oh
time
yeah.
period. I mean, it
Yeah.
didn't get any bigger in the world of pop music and like style and emulation and sound. People, copycats, right? In production and sound and dancing and everything. Like it's spawned a million copycat artists. And,
Three
and so
star,
yeah.
that hurts my soul.
Um
That hurts my soul. I
yeah,
I,
but
I I
but
would say Bruno Mars is way better, but
well, look, I would
he's a
I would
better entertainer.
I was gonna say I would say Bruno from a musicianship standpoint, a performance standpoint, all that
Yeah.
stuff. I know where Three Stars coming from
Yeah, yeah,
as
no,
far as
I
what
get
he's
it.
saying, and a lot of
Yeah.
people will say that as well. A lot of people, popularity wise,
Yeah.
but man, like it truly was so. He was just so massive. I will definitely say this: people aren't doing Taylor Swift dance alike competitions at the mall or the skate center or their
Man,
local arcade,
I've got
right?
a friend who learned to dance by replicating every single Michael Jackson
I
video.
believe it.
And so whenever we were at a get together, a party, and a Michael Jackson song came up and he did it, everybody would stop and watch him do it because they were mesmerized by how well he did it. And so at our wedding, when we had him come in there, we had the DJ not play any Michael Jackson. And he's like, "What, you don't like him?" It's like, "No, it's not that. It's we're trying to take a pressure off my friend here."
Oh
Because
wow.
he's going to be forced to get up and dance, and he doesn't need to do that. He's one of my groomsmen. I don't need him doing that nonsense. And so the DJ had lots of requests for it. He said, "I can't." The bridegroom said no, blah blah blah. And people were like, "What, why?" And they didn't understand. But for us, it was a little gift that we could give to him, that he didn't have to perform. We weren't going to make him perform.
No, that's it's mighty nice of you actually. And maybe would have taken away from the day.
Right.
It's
Well,
like
yeah. But
you know what I mean?
but I will say he was phenomenal at it. He
No,
was amazing.
I used to love it. I used to love watching people learn those moves, and also the clothing. Right? I mean, look,
Mm,
that the '80s was a time of girls were dressing up as Madonna, guys were dressing up in parachute pants and the zipper jackets, the Thriller jacket. People were
God,
dressing up.
everybody wanted that Thriller jacket.
Yeah,
Everyone wanted
absolutely.
that jacket.
Yeah, 3 Star had it. And it's that the fashion part of it was so big too. I mean, are there girls that emulate Taylor Swift and what she wears today?
Sure.
Yes, but would you notice
Not the
it
wrecking
any
ball.
different than anything else anybody else was wearing? Probably not. But would you recognize if someone was dressing up like Michael Jackson at the time? Yeah, you would probably be like, that dude's dressing like Michael Jackson. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah.
That girl's dressing like Madonna. It's pretty wild, man. It really is. Mikey says, contrary to popular belief in some circles, she isn't that globally popular. Taylor Swift's appeal is largely limited to English-speaking countries like the UK and Australia. I could definitely believe that.
Yeah.
I could 100% believe that. Where globally, Michael had people passing out in countries that didn't speak English at all.
Yeah. I mean,
30 seconds into the concert and people passing out in the front row, having to be brought off on a stretcher.
you've got the Beatles, you've got Michael Jackson, and honestly, I can't think of anybody else who was globally as popular as either of those two bands. Maybe there were some others, I'm sure there were, but those two were so popular all around the globe. You couldn't deny it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's and the parachute pants that MC Hammer wore, Joe fan, what's up, buddy? Is that about quite a bit different than the parachute pants of the '80s. Quite a bit different. Those baggy parachute pants that MC Hammer wore were the parachute pants of the '80s were thin, super slim. And they weren't quite as baggy, maybe, as the Hammer pants. There are 3 Pat Benetars at our school. What?
Well,
That's
if you want to
funny.
see what the regular '80s parachute pants were like, you can watch White Men Can't Jump.
There you go. Yeah, man.
And what was it? Wesley Snipes wearing those pants that he did playing basketball.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the only reason Hammer wore those pants was because his nuts hung down so low. It was the only way he could contain them. And so it was a birth defect, but he worked his way through life and
Do your
became
balls hang low?
extremely.
Do they wiggle to and fro?
But he worked through it. He did. Yes, Fast Times. I was like, I know that quote, and I'm like, where is it from?
Yeah.
Yeah, great movie, by the way. So anyway, look, hey, recommended. Take a walk down memory lane. If you're our age, take a walk. If you're not, go watch it. Enjoy the music. It's a very, for the most part, except for the Joe Jackson stuff. For the most part, it's a very easy watch.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not gonna be crying or nothing. I think it's pretty easy to get through and doesn't delve too deeply into the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I mean, a lot of people wanted more of the Joe Jackson stuff. A lot of people wanted more of some of the other stuff, but
Brooke
I
Shields.
thought it was just enough to get you going. Yeah, Brooke Shields. Yeah.
There's so much within some people's lives that you can't possibly fit it all in a 2-hour movie. So you have to pick and choose.
You have to accept the limitations of the medium of telling a story in a movie format, which is a 2-hour format in general. And you have to understand that it has to be a narrative. If there's not a narrative, then you can't tell a story and people won't be engaged, and then it'll be stream of consciousness and it's all over the place and it won't make any sense.
Yes, sir. And so there has to be a through line, and they kind of found one. And so check it out. Go to the movie. Do a
it's worth a watch.
Experience. I think if you're there at a theater with other people, I think people will be. A song will come on, and you'll hear somebody probably honest be like, "Oh, that was my jam." Shit like that. I'm sure.
I mean, it's got good music, obviously.
Oh, of course it does, man. Those records are amazing. Okay, so I want to bring something up to you really quickly. Daredevil Born Again Season 2, a new episode dropped tonight. I've got about 20 minutes left of that episode to finish. It is going to trial of Karen Page. I think this is a very extremely boring subject matter.
Well, look, I mean, she needs to be put on trial because this whole the last season and this season, she's just been murking people left and right, and then lamenting the killing of Wesley. But she's murking people left and right, other than Wesley, in this series, and nobody gives a flying fuck about it.
So, Daredevil Born Again season 2 reportedly hit by 50% drop in viewership compared to season 1. No one is tuning in for this.
No kidding. I mean, come on. You screwed up season 1 so bad, and you had to reshoot it and redo it and say the last 3 episodes are really what we were wanting to go for to make this happen, because we had to redo the rest of it and kind of cobble together a bunch of bullshit, and then you're stuck with all the nonsense. And they made some really bad changes in the beginning half of that. They never should have killed Foggy. They never should have shown it. They could have alluded to it like the original script had before they altered it. And that
never
way
recovered.
Then you could bring him back or whatever. But Merkin Foggy was stupid.
Never recovered from that dynamic between those two characters. You completely shatter that, and you take away a major component of why a lot of people loved the Netflix series in the first place.
Yep.
So this is interesting. Because they've got some figures from automatic content recognition technology. Okay, it's being watched on TV, and they have some figures that, at least the figures they were able to gather. It says the latest figures shared by the company revealed that Daredevil,
action figures.
Not those figures.
Oh, okay.
But it says the latest figures shared by the company revealed that Daredevil Born Again Season 2 has accumulated 4,515,000 season views, about 10.8 million hours watched, and 652 million minutes watched. I hate these figures. I hate this so not. You can't quantify this shit in your head.
No.
In comparison, Season 1 generated 8.3 million views, which is almost, well, not quite half, but whatever. More. 24 million hours watched, which is considerably a lot more. And 1.4 billion minutes watched in the same time frame.
Fuck you, minutes. Minutes.
So I hate what they use, but basically
because
they
bring it down to minutes instead of hours, instead of episodes. It's meaningless information to confound you into realizing this is shit, and it was shit from season 1. Because if you go back and do the same calculations for season 1 of the Netflix series, man, it's going to blow that shit out of the water, especially after season 2.
They're shooting season 3 right now.
Of course they are. And they're going to get another 50% drop from the 50% drop that they've already had.
Yes, that's exactly what I was about
nobody's
to say.
going to see the Defenders come back to reunite the team back together, because nobody wants to see Finn what's-his-ass with poor martial arts skills come back and try to do a fucking kung fu guy when he doesn't know shit about kung fu and have one glowing fist when his character has iron fists. Both of them.
They brought Jessica Jones back in last week's episode.
It was bad.
And it completely comes out of the blue.
So bad.
She barely...
Luke Cage is the deadbeat father.
Yeah, she barely shows up. It's all of a sudden she's here, then she's gone. It's a 2-minute scene or whatever.
No. So they bring her in with an assault team coming in to shoot up this house with a little girl in the thing, and then Jessica Jones walks in at the end, beating up all the guys to save the little girl, who is her daughter, who is Luke Cage's daughter. Where the fuck is Luke Cage?
Well, he's isn't he overseas right now?
Why the fuck is...
Okay, so per this latest episode, he is fighting the good fight. He's fighting God's war, per the Matthew Lillard character. It's a comment. My point about Jessica Jones being is, yes, beginning of the episode, that's what it leads off with, and she beats up these guys that come to her to try to take her out, whatever. After that, though, it's like you get a scene here or there where she's talking to Matt, and then in this same episode, it's the same thing. When she shows up in this episode, I'm just like, why is she even fucking here?
There's no purpose to it.
There's no point. It's not long enough. They don't give her any purpose, any point. She's just there to be there. And I'm assuming
she's not giving counsel. She's not giving support. She's not even
Right.
providing anything to the conversation.
As a matter of fact, she says, I can't get into this shit. And in this episode, he wants her to, she helps out last episode in destroying some weapons. Now, in this episode, she's basically like, yeah, well, that's all I could do, and this isn't my fight, and I'm not getting in the middle of this shit.
Well,
I
you
have a
also
daughter.
realize that she has in and out intermittent powers now. So
Yes,
there's
yes.
moments where her powers aren't working,
Yeah,
and
you
we don't
know.
know why. Ooh, big mystery. Who the fuck cares? I don't care.
Now, what's curious is on Rotten Tomatoes, this has a 91% from the critics and an 89% on the popcorn meter for
Okay.
Daredevil Born Again, but yet no one's watching it. And that's really, honestly, they have no one but themselves to blame. And this, again, look, people rag on us all the time. Well, you guys hate Disney. You talk shit about. Well, this is what happens. This is what happens when you take a product and you give it over to Disney in full command with their writers and people they bring in to do it. And this is what happens. It's discombobulated. Season 1 didn't make any sense.
Because they had to redo most of it.
And then season 2, you have to try to pick up the pieces of that.
Yeah.
And it's just, these episodes are boring.
This Muse 2 is really annoying, and it's going to be the lamest thing ever because that character has no depth, has no character development at all. She's just been tooling along, and all of a sudden she's this violent sexual predator, and then she's
terrible.
going to become Muse all of a sudden. And it's really freaking weird as she's got Florence Nightingale syndrome or whatever she's associating with her attacker, with her assaulter, and is going to be and is going to become the assaulter and be better Muse than Muse was. No, okay, this whole gender swapping nonsense is just ridiculous.
I was hoping that this season would is it an improvement over last season? I'll say yes to an extent.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
However, unfortunately,
because this will be a cohesive story. That's the only difference.
Unfortunately, the threads that they have used for this season are just not strong. And finally, Vanessa, she dies. So now
finally she's dead.
We
It took her
get
3 episodes to
Fisk back.
die.
Yeah, and we get him supposedly back to his ruthless self, except in this episode, it's not there. Maybe it will be.
I agree with Gary from Neurotic. I'm like, look, we had 3 seasons of Kingpin becoming Kingpin. And now we've got 2 more seasons of Kingpin becoming Kingpin. When will Kingpin be Kingpin?
Well, supposedly his arc wraps up this season.
Well, he's going to be a homeless hobo next season, apparently.
Yeah. Look, there's some things that you can kind of see coming down the pipeline here for this show. It unfortunately has turned out worse than I was hoping that it would be. I think for most people, and now nobody's watching it.
They got everybody back, and everybody wanted to see them come back, and they got them all back, and they're doing this thing, and it's shit. Disney doesn't know how to succeed anymore. They don't know what good storytelling is, and it blows me away that they can't hire anybody that can adapt a freaking comic book that was good and that sold a lot, not one that was created in the past 4 years that's a pile of shit that nobody bought. Because that's the only thing that they're adapting is the shit ones, not the ones that sold millions of copies.
And speaking of which, so, for the most part, we're looking at Mando and Grogu, right, coming out next month, and looking at what a mess that's going to be. There, I will tell you, when I think Disney does something well, I will praise them for doing something well. And there is a show that I've been watching that I think has been done very well. Maul Shadow Lord is intriguing.
I will agree with you. You know, there are detractors out there already shitting on this show, but I will say this is that this show has everything that we want to see. And it, for lack of whatever, Dave Filoni does a good job with a lot of action scenes. I think he does well with animation, and if he can get that done in live action, he does well with it because we've been rewatching the first two seasons of The Mandalorian, and there are some really good action scenes in that. There are some good action scenes in this. The action scenes in this are actually phenomenal.
I think they're amazing.
Yeah, they're really good, and it tells a story. And some people will criticize that it's not Maul's arc; it's everyone else's arc. Maul's just along for the ride. No,
I disagree.
I disagree with that as well because I will say that this is Maul's story, and yes, there are other characters involved with telling the story, but it is his story about how he takes over the Black Sun, you know, how he takes command of that, and how he manipulates these other things around him to help him. Because honestly, he's not a Sith, right? He's a Zabrak. You know, he's got dark force powers, and he uses those, but he's not evil for evil's sake. He's not the mustache twirling villain. He's got something more to him than that, and it's an interesting story that they're going through, and how he incorporates the Zabraks into his army and the Mandalorians, and how he's fighting the Mandalorians, fighting the Empire, fighting these different factions, trying to make a peace for himself in this world. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. Look, like you said earlier, great action. It's fantastic. The animation is amazing.
Yeah.
The acting is fantastic. Sam Witwer is really good in this role. They have a cop who has a son in this show. You know, there is a Jedi Master and a Padawan that accompany them. There is a droid. These guys kind of end up as an unlikely group of people together, but the way that they bring this show together, I do think is actually really good. And actually, it, you know, I could see 3-star where you would say that, maybe make the bad guy good, but
no,
I don't think
not.
that's the case because
No.
he has bad intentions.
And
are
you
you
can see it.
sympathetic? Are you sympathetic to him? Yes, because I think any good story that is based around this can sometimes make you sympathetic for someone who's a piece of shit. Okay,
he's not an anti-hero, if that's what
No.
you're thinking. He's not
No,
the
not at
bad
all.
guy becoming good. He is got nefarious intent, and he's going to be a criminal mastermind, a criminal underworld lord, right? That's his goal at this point, and they don't shy away from that. It's not making him a good guy in any way, shape, or form.
And I do think, you know, when you do have people hunting you, right, because this is in the time of the Inquisitors, you know, so there are things that obviously have been introduced into the Star Wars lore, whether that's, you know, through Disney, right, whatever. But I think the way that they incorporate this, in my eyes, it has been a good story so far. I think like I said, I think the animation is good. The fight scenes are good, but I think the story is actually good. And there are some twists and turns. I mean, look, you know, I think, are there some things that maybe you can see coming from a mile away? Like,
Sure.
you know, sure. And I think with a lot of stories, you can see that. But I don't think this is a kid's show.
It
so
really
to
isn't.
speak.
And I'll go back to my other point before when I was talking about other critics critiquing the show and how they're critiquing it. And I think that they think what you're thinking, 3-star, that they're trying to make the bad guy a good guy. And they really aren't. They really aren't. And it's not that you have to be sympathetic with him. I think that may be a wrong term. You just kind of understand what he's trying to do from his perspective. It's not a good perspective, but it's what he's trying to do from his perspective. And if you don't give a through line to the main character of the story, then you're doing a disservice to the audience. You don't have to be sympathetic with them, but you just have to understand the motivations of them.
And the most recent episode, they do a good job
Yes,
of
agreed.
showing him and what happened to him with Sidious,
Yep.
and kind of, through that lens. And I enjoyed that. They did change one thing in the Star Wars lore. Originally, Sidious had taken him as a baby. They do make that change in this show that he is like 7 or 8 years old, maybe, or somewhere in there. But originally, when Sidious took him, he was a baby.
Yeah.
And he did not know family. In this show, they do portray it as in he understands he has an older brother and he understands family and like all that. But originally,
that makes more sense.
A very infant baby child.
Yeah, but this origin makes more sense with everything that we've gotten from Maul, from all the different medium, because he would have no connection to Savage otherwise.
Yes. And these are, so good marks. Look, critics wise, and again, I care, 98%, 90%, fan score. I mean, it's getting good marks. I don't know what the viewership of this show looks like, but I will tell you that
it's animated, so I don't think it's very high.
And it's not, but I do believe that it is good. And I think it is worth watching. These episodes are, they're fun. It's got some good set pieces and scenes, and and for the first time they make the Inquisitors, okay? They make the Inquisitors actually Inquisitors instead of they show up and use their lightsabers to fly like helicopters or like whatever. No, they actually come in and interrogate people in the police department to find out what's going on. And that's portrayed very cool, in my opinion. Like, okay, well, if you don't want to talk to me, then maybe when he shows up, for your sake, I hope you're honest. And then it shows this, somebody walking through this door, and then the door shuts, right? And the scene cuts, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, this dude's about to get in your head, and so they do make them very intimidating. And I think that's one of the few times that they've done that with the Inquisitors, whether it's in Star Wars Rebels or Ahsoka, or any other show for that matter. So I do
absolutely
like that.
Agree. Yeah, absolutely agree. I've appreciated the Inquisitors more here than I have in a long time. When Sarah Michelle Gellar is trying to fight Ahsoka or something was kind of funny, but whatever.
Dude, I don't even. Oh my god, I don't even want to remember that shit. I forgot all about that stuff. Oh Jesus, keep that out of my headspace. So I did want to mention, and nobody really knows why. This is curious as we kind of rounded third base here for home plate. Did you see, and I know you did, but I don't know if the chat did, that all of a sudden the Lanterns trailer
I wanted to talk about this
nowhere to be found.
I wanted to talk about this when we were talking about in the box office with Michael. I'm like, oh shit, we should talk about it right now.
So what happened here? Where is the trailer? You cannot. It's not on HBO Max or any Warner Brother channels.
Yeah, did you hear what happened to it?
I did not, so I was hoping that you could enlighten me a little bit on this.
So Sony hit the trailer with a copyright because they own the music that they used in the trailer, and so Sony went after them to take down the trailer. And so now they have to come up with some alternate music to use for their trailer to put it back up. And they haven't done it yet because whatever. But Sony is hitting Disney with a copyright claim on YouTube and other platforms because they didn't properly secure the licensing for the music that they wanted to use.
You can't even write that shit. I mean,
And think
holy
about how many times they hit
smokes.
us for this shit
Oh,
when we're
trust me.
replaying the stuff that they put out that is legal.
Yes,
And talking
yes,
about it is legal, but they still hit us for it.
yes, absolutely.
Because there is a massive campaign with the AI bots and YouTube of demonetizing and taking down channels right now that is YouTube wide. They're going after everybody over the stupidest shit that is not actually true, but the AI bot that they're using is finding it true, and you can't talk to a person, because if you could talk to a person, it would be cleared up. But
Oh,
there's no person to talk
absolutely.
to.
Well, and one of the biggest is that they are trying to suss out what is like authentic content being
Yeah.
made,
Oh,
like
this is the
what
stupidest bullshit
we're
ever.
doing, or
Yeah.
whether someone is like creating stuff through AI
Right.
or whatever. And so it's kind of trying to find that stuff
Yep.
and demonetizing channels. Which look, for some of them, like the Star Wars AI slop stuff that
Yeah.
I've seen come up in my feed,
There's a lot of it out there. I mean,
I'll
don't get me wrong. There
gladly
is
hope
a
that
lot of it.
some of that stuff disappears because, man, some of that
But
stuff is
a
really
lot of
bad.
legitimate YouTubers are getting hit
Yes.
with it, and they're on camera more often than
Yeah,
not. So it doesn't
exactly.
make sense why they're getting hit.
Right.
But if they don't have a good connection with their YouTube partner, then they're not getting any traction on getting their shit back.
Very true. This is an interesting story. I did think this was fantastic. I'm not gonna lie because
It's fucking hilarious.
it just is a classic case and really, to be honest with you, how about just making a new trailer, because that trailer sucked ass.
I mean, green is a stupid color, so we're not going to use it in the naming of the product, and then we're going to make only one ring can exist at a time when there's four Green Lanterns. I mean, Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner, and John Stewart. Right, so you got four Green Lanterns from Earth.
Right.
They're the same sector at the same time. But no, there can only be one. So how are you going to explain Guy Gardner from the Superman movie, who's already in existence? Did all these guys die already? Did John Stewart
Dude,
already die and pass it off to Guy?
you're
Because you
not
just
gonna
fucked
know.
up your whole timeline
Doesn't
by
matter. You're not going to know that. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to mention it. It won't be mentioned. It won't be brought up. It might be a throwaway line somehow. But this is a true detective spin for the Lanterns.
fuck this show. That's not what the Lanterns do.
Yeah, it looks very, very uninteresting.
I
And
have no interest in the show. I love John Stewart. John Stewart and Hal Jordan are my two favorite Green Lanterns. Okay. And you've made this so uninteresting that I don't give a fuck
yeah,
about this show.
that's why I said make a new trailer. Forget the music. Who gives a shit about the music? Make a new trailer. Like, get people excited. Don't try to use the music for it. Right?
You've killed all excitement. I don't know how you generate more
I
excitement.
agree. So Giraffe, speaking of green poop, you guys see the brand new Rark Muffalo abomination of a Hulk figure up for pre-order.
Dude, that forehead, man, he's got a 5 head for sure. I mean, that is the most ridiculous figure I've ever seen. I'm like, what the fuck are they thinking? I get it. It's the Red Hulk body, but that Red Hulk figure wasn't that great to begin with. And now you're throwing a Mark Ruffalo, a receding hairline. You know, I mean, what the fuck? He looks like that Abomination Scar that they put in that freaking TV show that looked terrible also. And he's Hulk all the time. And if you're going to use that character, your storytelling is messed up.
Yeah, I think last night during a Punk with Toy streams, and he brought up the figure, this gray haired Hulk, and talking about, all this face and all that. And I'm like, well, how about if you just don't like Mark Ruffalo's face?
Right.
How about that? That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I don't care about the figure's face. How about just Mark
Ruffalo's face, yeah.
in general?
Yeah, no kidding.
It's yeah. Yeah, if it goes on clearance, no doubt. Throw it at the wall.
No.
Record it.
No. That is not even a clearance worthy figure.
No.
No. That is not a figure you buy even on clearance. There's no value to a lot of the MCU figures that they make, but that one in particular, There's nothing of value in that figure. He doesn't have increased posability. He doesn't have any articulation that's any different. He doesn't have any accessories that are worthwhile, and he certainly doesn't have a head sculpt that you want to pick up because the Eternals line. If you could find that at Ollie's for $5, yeah, you pick one of those up just for the head sculpts of the actors that were in there because those were halfway decent.
Right. And yes, Stanley, yes, I got charged for the rats and the Zanya, both back to back, bang bang.
Hey, and if you ordered on Amazon right now, it'll be delivered on Monday.
There you go.
So it's still available to be shipped out and delivered on Monday. So order now from Amazon if you want,
and get it
it's
early.
right there.
And you could do your review on YouTube, and then you too can get monetized and make $1 million a month. So we probably finish things up with the House of the Dragon Season 3 official teaser trailer that came out one day ago. Let's check it out.
And I've got Daemon Targaryen right here. Oh, wait, no, that's Elric, the inspiration for Daemon Targaryen.
Yes. So we have here the trailer for Season 3 that came out yesterday. Let's take a look, and then I want to get your thoughts on Season 3 of House of the Dragon before we get out of here. So let's boogie with it.
Let's check it out.
You now have the power no man has ever wielded. We will have an empire unassailable, Rhaenyra. And our children will rule it forever and a day.
Are you still excited?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, to be frankly honest, I really liked this show until they fucked up the ending of season 2. They needed those 2 episodes to have the battle and the aftermath of the battle in that season, because that is the most pivotal battle about the whole thing. And now you have to throw this in the first episode of this season, and you just messed up the rest of the season because nobody's going to care about the rest of it.
I will say this. I think for me, it's just because of the wait between seasons.
The wait is way too long. Yeah. And, if they had allowed those 2 episodes and we had this wait, I think it would have been better. I think we would be excited about it.
No, I get it. An Ocean View Coffee Shop, welcome in, says can't
What's
wait
up?
for Hot D Season 3. Yeah, I mean, look, when the show started out and even into Season 2, I'm all on board. I'm still on board, but that long wait is what's so difficult for me. And so maybe once it gets back in and gets going, and I'm into it again, it will come back in for me.
Hopefully.
And look, Stu, a lot of people feel that way. Once that show came out, a lot of people have told me recently, or just in the last few months, that they do like that show more so than House of the Dragon.
And I will tell you that there are people that say the same thing about those books. They read the Dunk and Egg books, and they like it better than Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
than A Song of Ice and Fire.
All
because those are complete stories. So
no, I get it. All right, let's boogie on. Let's get with this. I'm pausing it just a little bit so that way we don't get crushed by HBO here on the copyright. But I'm sure I'll get one anyway.
All that remains is for you to decide what you want from this war.
You will do things that your heart would have recoiled from before you came to the throne.
Already have.
Yeah, I'm curious about with Allison. I'm just, since they've changed and they had that secret meeting, and I'm just wondering kind of where her story kind of goes, from here at this point. Since she doesn't believe in her sons, they've kind of changed her character quite a bit. And I'm just curious where that goes to.
It feels like this season is going to be a lot of additive that is not in any of the history books or story points that are being told. And that can be okay if it leads to something interesting. I don't know that it will, because like I said, this battle that they cut off of season 2 that should have been in season 2, is kind of the pinnacle of everything that happens in the Hot D books.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, Yojo Daddy, feel that same sentiment.
The Targaryens are a savage race.
We act with holy purpose.
To restore a rightful king.
I'm going to kill my brother, or die in the attempt.
Draw your sword.
Look to the sky. Doom and ruin surround us. We'll all become beasts before our end.
I am
Now-
interested in getting back to getting to know these characters again,
Yeah.
like to an extent. You know what I mean? Like I'm
It's
looking
been so
forward to
long,
that.
I've forgotten who they are.
I'm with you, dude. I'm telling
mean-
you, I was sitting there and I was like, oh, that's Sir Kristen Cole. I'm like,
yeah.
holy
Like,
crap. You know, I'm like,
I,
forgot all about
I
that
should
guy.
know who that is, but I can't
Right?
think of who they are right now.
Yeah,
because
no.
it's been forever, and
Yep.
and this is the problem with this type of storytelling that they're doing. They're throwing in a lot of dragons because they want to get people hyped. Look, dragons! Look, dragons! Look, dragons! Look, dragons! Because they're throwing them in every 10, 15 seconds because they want people to get re-engaged. Say, look, there are dragons here. We're going to put them in this season. Okay.
And I get it.
But what about the storytelling? I mean, okay, you're seeing them fly around. Is that during a battle or is that just a flyby?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. It has to have a purpose.
Has to have a purpose.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is no longer safe here.
There will be no doubt who the gods have chosen to rule.
There's always doubt, sweetheart.
Yeah.
There's always doubt, sweetheart. Sorry.
So look, yeah, man. I'm once it gets back on air, I will be, I will be back into it. But that long wait makes it very difficult. And yeah, 3-star. I mean, it is. Look, I guess everybody looking alike, but it is kind of.
Hey,
part of the deal,
but you
you
got
know?
Corliss Valerian. He doesn't look like everybody
That's
else.
true. That's true. He's easy to remember. All right. And like Black Snape should be. So yeah, I mean, once it comes back on, I definitely hope to get back into it. I hope that they were able to pour themselves into this show and really get this season on track.
Yeah, it has potential, and it has good actors and potentially good storytelling. And yes, I laughed my butt off. That one too. That's a good one. What do you mean, you people? Yeah, exactly. Tropic Thunder is one of the greatest movies ever. So that will forever be quoted, if not ever recreated, because it can't be.
No. But June 21st is the premiere on HBO Max. It will be weekly. There will be no binging of this show.
Good.
It will be weekly. I think that's the best thing they can do. And if they do, if they have dedicated the time and effort into this season and trying to make it as captivating. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed season 1. I'm not gonna lie. I really did. There, yes, there were some girl boss moments in there for sure, but for the most part, I definitely enjoyed season 1 and then parts of season 2. But yeah, you're right. At that protracted season and not kind of fitting everything in what they needed to fit in really makes a difference in the storytelling. So we'll see. But that trailer came out yesterday. And so I kind of wanted to just take a look at it. There's not a lot to glean from that, really. If you're not a super fan of the show, there's probably not a lot you're going to take from that trailer other than, like you said, oh, dragons and, fighting. And,
yeah, exactly.
A lot of crying.
Well, I'd like to say that, hey, Sabir, How you doing,
What's
man?
up?
Any excitement for the 425 Aliens Day teasers? I think you mean LV 426, right? 426 Alien Day. Anyway, good evening,
Oh,
Brandon. I know you've been busy.
yeah, I think so.
There was some Alien Day stuff that was released. I was not impressed with anything in it so far because honestly, I love Aliens. I have the Aliens expanded documentary extended edition, and they're reselling it, repackaging it as an anniversary edition right now. So you can get that from Creator VC Studios. It's an incredible documentary. It's got like 15 hours of extra interviews with all the cast and crew on there. I love Alien and Aliens. They're two of my foundational, formidable movies in my mindset. But no, the things that they brought out with this year, I don't know that I care much for.
I will say this. Alien Isolation 2, if they can get what they got out of the first game, shoot.
Well, I wish that they could adapt that into a TV show or movie because that original storyline for Alien Isolation was what they should have done instead of Alien Earth.
Of course.
But they messed all that up, and that's an incredible story that people would have loved, but they don't want to adapt things. They want to try and create something new. Is this NECA?
This is NECA, yeah.
Okay, so I've got 16 of these things or whatever. I don't have 16 of them. I have one of them, but they've made a whole bunch of these things. They're NECA. They're not that great.
And then, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Ooh,
and then
that's contagious.
Yeah, no, it is. We have this right here, Hot Toys Collectibles, Wayland Yutani Moon Boots. Yes, you can get your Reebok Alien Stompers right here. Yes, you too can have these little moon boots in the palm
Did
of
you
your
have a
hand.
pair of moon boots as a kid?
I don't know. I don't think I did.
I never did, and I was like, those are so cool. I want those. They look like something from Star Trek, whatever. But I never had them as a kid. But
well, these are 1/6 scale little Reebok Alien Stompers for those of you that are into 1/6 Alien Stomper Reebok moon boots.
I don't collect 1/6, so you know.
Yeah, there was a few things, man, that they kind of came out with. They've got some games on sale on Steam. They, for Alien Day, from the Alien franchise, various games. They obviously, like I said, they've got the little moon boots there, and a few different bits and bobs for Alien Day.
Stanley Eberhardt, hopefully never.
Yeah,
they've screwed that up so bad.
The more they try, the worse it gets.
Alien Covenant was so bad. I can withstand Prometheus as something.
I actually, when I saw Prometheus, I did like Prometheus at the time. Yeah. There are, after going back and rewatching it, yes, there are some things about it that do bother me. But overall, as a whole, like when I went to the theater to see it too, and I did like it at the time, and I still do. But there are a few things in there that I'm question why they were added. But
Alien Covenant made no sense on any level. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole logic of them when they entered that planet was not comprehensible, because I'm like, wait a minute, they're breaking every protocol possible. We have these protocols now. Why would we not have these protocols in the future?
I always love it when somebody sticks their face in something or in front of something that it's alien in nature. They don't know what it is. They put their hand or they touch something like,
don't touch shit. Haven't you learned anything? I mean, come on, you got to figure out what this shit is before
Well,
you start touching it.
You can't have a movie.
Touch it and put it
without
on your
it.
face and rub it in your eyes, and oh my gosh, and now you got little worms in your eyes. And
Now you're talking about my ex-girlfriend, Matthew. Now let's stop right there.
now, listen, I know syphilis is running rampant right now, but come on now. Look it up. It is. Syphilis, polio, and tuberculosis are back, people.
Oh, no.
We fucking knocked that shit out 100 years ago, but no, it's back now.
Is it?
It is.
Famously what Al Capone
died from?
contracted
Yeah.
in prison, which means, oh, Al was quite the freak, nasty, wasn't he?
I mean, whatever. I mean, we can put a lot of this mental instability on people on syphilis as well as everything else, right? Because it's rotting your freaking brain, making you go insane.
Because that's what was wrong with Al. that was the problem.
I thought it was Breathless Mahoney. Oh wait, wrong movie.
Oh God. Oh, beautiful. Holy shit. Yes, wrong movie. Good call though. Wow. I was in love with Breathless. All right.
Wasn't everybody at one time?
Yes. Holy shit. Yes. Let's see here. Sabir really quickly says, seen a few content creators break down the longer version of Covenant. Those other details are accurate that this is a film that would have benefited from a longer cut versus the edited version. Maybe,
but the initial premise of them breaking protocols and quarantine
and there
issues.
You go, right there, Sabir.
At the beginning.
You just said it right there, though. Overcoming character decisions, right, and the story. I just think the movie got its own way.
It did.
And
while Romulus had a slightly better premise, it still messed up
40
so many
minutes.
things.
40 minutes.
Yeah, for 40 minutes, and then you got some weird shit there too. So
yeah, but okay, look, that's all for us kids. I like I said earlier, a little while ago though, I did want to have a bit of a deep dive on Michael, because I think it's worth doing it. We probably will not talk about Michael Jackson for the next how many ever years. And so I think sometimes when stuff like this comes out, I wish we'd have been doing this maybe when the Elvis
that
came out.
I like that movie. I
did too.
Great.
Really enjoyed that, and so yeah, man, I think it was worth visiting and talking about since we both saw it and giving our thoughts. So, but look, man, you guys, good luck trying to get your Elric.
If you can get a hold of them, if you can find them, there's lots. I mean, so many different options, 3 different head options, plus all the free stuff that comes with them, packaged in there. He's got a loot and a blind bag weapon. I think all the pre-order extra ones are done. But so many different options. If you want your Dragon Warrior, if you want your Dragoon, if you want your Daemon Targaryen figure, if you want anything like the Dark Elf type of figures, you can pop and swap so many parts with other Savage Crucible figures. Man, this guy's so awesome. For me, he's going to be figure of the year. I think. I don't foresee anything that I know that's coming already, and there could be something that sneaks up on me that's coming this year that's going to top this one for me.
Love it, man. Well, that's going to do it for us. Look, you guys join us next Tuesday, and as we get closer and closer to Mandalorian and Grogu, I can't wait to talk about that movie with you guys.
Hey, you know what? I mean, we're gonna go see it in the theater. So my wife and daughter. Well, my daughter's more excited than anybody about it, but
no, I am too. So I mean, I will see it. I hope it's good. I don't know how much belief or whatever I have in that, but I am gonna go see it in the theater. And so we'll definitely let you know when it comes out. But yeah, we'll be back next Tuesday, same time, same bat channel as usual. And then let's see, Mortal Kombat you've got coming up, so can't wait to talk about that.
Oh yeah, Mortal
That's
Kombat's gonna be awesome.
fun.
I can't wait. And Street Fighter, I can't wait for Street Fighter also.
Yeah, man. And so yeah, so we'll be back next week. I'm sure we'll have obviously some more news, maybe some other stuff, but we'll have some other stuff to talk about. I think maybe Born Again season 2 is going to wrap up, and I think Maul Shadow Lord is going to wrap up also. If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah, I think it's got
doing
2 more episodes. Yeah.
So maybe talk a little bit about that next week. I will be on tomorrow night on 3-Star Draws channel on Sevens Wild. It's going to be a special show. So catch us over there on 3 Stars channel at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. And I'll be on there on that for Wednesday night for Sevens Wild with that. Matthew, I know you got some probably collab coming up later in the week. And then
always.
Yep. And on Instagram. So you guys go check out Matthew's images on Instagram. Mamu's Action Figure blog.
So tomorrow is Close Up G.I. Joe collab. So that's the next one. And then Saturday will be Savage Crucible based figures or Harbinger Studios figures with beasts. So there's going to be some extra creatures involved with that one. So yeah, check those out on tomorrow and Saturday.
Sweet. Yeah, you guys definitely go check that out. I know you do already, as I can tell how many likes and stuff you got on your pictures and stuff, man. But yeah, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for hanging out with us. Come back next Tuesday. We'll do it all over again. Tell a buddy, bring a friend. I'm Pop Blender. That's Matthew Matson. This has been the Evening Blend. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.